What is up, guys? I have another t-shirt design tutorial for you, and it's going to be really fun because this one's multiple colors and it's more crazy than the other ones I've done recently. So I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. You guys know the drill. Let's go and hop into Photoshop and get started. The first thing I'm going to do is always setting up my canvas. That's what I do every single time I start these tutorials, so it's very important that you guys understand how to set up your canvas, because when we're working with shirt designs, we want to make sure our design is in high quality and the right size to fit our shirt. So go to File, New, and you want to make a canvas around, and it obviously has to be in inches, by the way. We're going to switch it from pixels to inches, and we want to make sure our canvas is in 14 by 17 at least. I do a lot of full shirt, I do a lot of full frontal designs, so a lot of the times I make my canvas a little larger than this even, but this is actually a really good size. You can even go lower than that. You can go 13 by 16 or 13 by 17 depending on what size your shirt's going to be, and it's always great to measure your shirt to see what size you're going to want your design. It's smart to prepare it before you make the design. But anyway, this is the size that I go with all the time. And then once you're done with that, just make sure it's at 300 resolution. And the background color can be whatever color your shirt's gonna be. So if your shirt's white, you can make it white. You can always change it later on too, not a big deal. Everything else can stay the same, and then just go ahead and hit create, and it's gonna create your canvas. So I'm gonna recreate this design, and you guys can basically just follow along with me and pause the video if you need to, and just watch what I'm doing really carefully, and I promise you can do this no problem. It's really not it's not a hard design at all, and it may look complicated, but it's really not. So we're just gonna get right into it. So I have my design layer, and I also have my colors layer. Now the colors is really important because it's the colors of our design, and a lot of the times when I'm doing my designs, I like to color pick what colors I have on top here. So I put my color palette together first before I even do the design. That way I know what colors I'm going to be using. And like I said, it's really easy just to take that color picker and choose the colors from the color palette. So that's why we have that there. We can keep that there. We don't need to hide it or anything like that, but we will hide the main design. But before I hide it, I'm going to go ahead and draw out a circle to match the same size as this one, just to start it off. So we're going to our shape tools here, and I'm going to go to the ellipse. And once I go to the ellipse, I'm just gonna hold in shift and drag a circle out. And I can also hold in the spacebar and move it around. Once you hold in spacebar, it lets you move it. So I'm just gonna go around right here, it's fine. And then let go. And then I'm gonna center it, doing Control A and pressing V on my keyboard. So Control A, if you don't see these, press V and it's gonna pop them up, and then you can use them to center your design. Now, obviously we have that color palette out there, right? Like I was saying before. So since we have it, now I can just add a color overlay to this. So we're gonna select that color, and there you go. So that's why we have that color palette up there. So that's a good example. So this is our main layer, which we can convert to a smart object. Converting it to a smart object basically allows you to resize it to any size without it losing pixels, which is very important. You don't want to lose pixels while you're designing. So anyway, we have a circle, so we're gonna name this main circle, or whatever we want to name it. We don't have to name it if we don't want to. So anyway, we're gonna hide the design, and now we have the main circle, and we're gonna basically duplicate it a few times because we need to add the inner strokes that we see. So we're gonna duplicate that once, just like so, and we can lower the fill all the way to 0% because we want just the stroke to show. And then I'm gonna add an inside stroke. I always add an inside stroke. I don't know why, it's just a habit. And I have a stroke of 67 that I'm gonna be using. So inside stroke of 67, and we're gonna go ahead and turn that white. So I turn that white, now I'm gonna duplicate it one more time. So Control J, and then we're gonna drag that one down too, doing Control T to transform it and just kind of resize it to our liking. What I did notice is I needed to resize these a little bit more because there was way too much rim on this circle here. So I want it to be a lot less than that. Like around there is fine. That looks good right there. So now we have our two strokes, and all we did was duplicated the one stroke that we initially had right here, and then we duplicated it and resized it, and that's all. And everything should be centered, but we can double check it. It's always good practice to make sure. And we're gonna also group everything, and I'm gonna just name this tutorial so I know which folder this is. And then I'm gonna unhide the design real quick just so I can see what I'm doing. So I have red up here and I have blue down here. So that's really easy to accomplish, really nothing to it. We're gonna do that first before we move on. So what I wanna do is I need to add these little lines that I had here. So I'm gonna get my guides real quick so I can see where I put them. Always good practice to use guides too. It's really helpful. I'm gonna go and unhide the design, or hide the design and then unhide the tutorial, and then now I'm going to draw those guides out. So all I did was use the rectangle tool, and I drew out some rectangles. All I did was try to match the width of the stroke, which is 67 strokes. So that looks about right, and we need to turn that white. Just like so. And that's it. And then I'm just going to transform them and then rotate it a little bit just to get the positioning semi-right. It's a little too thick, I would say, so I'm just going to kind of resize it while I'm doing it. So I just adjusted the width there. And that's fine. That looks good. Now I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm going to go Control-T and then right-click and flip horizontal. And do the same thing to the other side. And my smart guides should be helping me out right now, and they kind of are, which is cool. And then I'm going to group those real quick, or just merge them. So select them both, convert to smart object, and then I'm going to basically just kind of center it again just to make sure that it is centered. And that is perfect right there. So the next thing we need to worry about is changing the top to the red color that we've seen. So to do that, it's pretty easy. We're going to go back to our circles real quick. And this thing needs to lay inside of our tutorial folder, by the way. What we're going to do is go back to our circle, and we're just going to make that red. So right now it's looking weird, right? Because everything's red and we didn't want that, but it's okay. We're going to fix that. No problem at all. And we can actually raise the fill in the center now because we want that to be the blue. So we raise that fill back up, and now it's blue, just like we wanted. Now, what I can do to select just this area right here is I can do Control A, copy everything, and then basically copy merged, and then Control V to paste it, and then just select this one box right here without contiguous unchecked. Make sure it's checked. Select the red box, and if this is unchecked, it's gonna basically select all the red, and we don't want that. So now I'm just gonna cut that. So now I have that red cut out, and then I'm just gonna paste that, paste special, paste in place, and now I can make this blue like we had before. I'm gonna go back to my other design just to make sure what I had going on here. Okay, so I'm on the right track. Super cool. The next thing we can worry about is getting the centerpiece done, which is really easy. I'm using a shape that Photoshop comes with. The eye I just made real quick, and I have it right here. I just made an eye shape, and then the thunderbolt I also made just with the lasso tool. So really easy stuff, guys. So the first thing we want to do is we want to drag that shape out. So go to custom shapes, and then there's the planet already. I don't even know what to call it. It doesn't matter. So I have it already drawn out, and this was supposed to be red. It was intended to be red, so we're gonna recolor that red. So add a color overlay. I don't know why I got in the habit of adding color overlays. I do that all the time. There's other ways to color things, but that's just the way I do it. The next thing we want to do is add that eye. So I'm going to go ahead and get my eye, and you can make this eye really easily in Photoshop. It doesn't take long. I have my eye, and we're just going to resize it. Now the eye needs to have the same stroke as our outside strokes here, which are white. So it needs to have a 67 stroke. So we can actually just go ahead and copy one of the strokes over, just like that. And I'm going to duplicate the eye one more time because I want to add an outside stroke to make it have like a stroke on the outside, so that planet in the background kind of stands out more. So I'm going to go like 50 with this stroke. It doesn't really matter. You don't have to be too picky about it. But so I went like 50 with this stroke. I'm going to convert that to a smart object, and then I'm going to go ahead and add a layer mask and delete what I don't want, because it's showing off the edges right here, and I don't want that. So I'll show you what I mean by that. Right here. See? I don't want that right there. So I'm just going to go and delete it real quick. Really easy, using that layer mask and making sure the foreground's black. If it was white, it would add it back. Let me show you. See? I don't want to add it back. I want to delete it. So that's that. Pretty easy, right? So now we have our really cool looking eye, and I just need to add one more circle above that to give the pupil effect, right? To actually create the eye. So I'm going to make it semi-large, just like that. And again, the fill can be all the way to 0 because we don't want that black showing. And then we're just going to copy that stroke right over, just like that. And now we have this really cool eye. And one other touch that I added to it is I added this thunderbolt. So I'm going to create a new layer, go to my lasso tool here. So I have an extra layer, and I'm just going to make sure my foreground's white, because that's the color that my thunderbolt's going to be. And I'm just going to make a quick thunderbolt, not thinking about it too much, just kind of messing around. I'm just literally messing around with the shape. Sometimes you have to do it a few times to get it right, but that's totally fine. One other thing I did just to reposition it was just Control-T, and I flipped it vertical, I believe. Yeah, vertical. And then you can kind of twist it around just like that. So pretty easy, right? So now we have the thunderbolt, we have the eye. And now really all we're missing is the text on the outside, and that just kind of goes to show you how easy this design really is. What I did to add the text was I added a new circle and created a work path. So we're just gonna do that real quick. I'm just gonna hurry up and draw out a circle. I'm gonna let go and just reposition it real quick. Now we can make this the fill 0% again, and then go to our T tool, hover over that circle. You'll see this little faint line. Hover over it until you see a wave, and then select once, and now you can start typing around the path, okay? We're gonna do iRecords, and this is completely made up, by the way. I'm gonna do it all uppercase, but this is all made up. I just made up a quick name for this. You know, I always do that for these designs, so this isn't a real company, I don't believe. And then I'm gonna go to my font, A Love for Thunder. We're just gonna resize it, and then I'm gonna change the spacing real quick. But it's not looking too great because we need to do a couple things to adjust this, because it's stuck in the inside and we don't want that. So to fix that, we can just go to our character palette here and we can change the line height. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna make it look a lot nicer. And we also need to reposition this around the circle. So go to our selector tool here, so our path selector, and then go to one of these points, probably the top one, and wait until you see this left and right arrow with an eye looking thing in the center, and you just want to drag that to the center, just like that. And bam, it looks centered now. That's awesome. And I'm gonna go ahead and draw out a ruler just to make sure that my text is where it needs to be. So we have our ruler set out, and I'm just gonna kind of make my text fit where this top ruler lies, because I don't want the text to be too small. It looks awkward. So we're just gonna resize the text by selecting everything, resize it a little bit more. That looks fine. What we can also do is, because I don't want to make the text overwhelmingly big because we have to fit text below here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change the line spacing, or the letter spacing. So we're going to go to this VA right here and just change that. And we can even do less than that. We can do 100, I believe. That should be fine. So yeah, 100 works great. And that's it for that. Now I'm happy with that. That actually looks really good. I actually am happier with this one than I was with the original one, because the original one, I think I made them a little too big. The next thing we need to do is duplicate the iRecords text, and we can hide it for the time being. What I want to do is type out the bottom part, which I forgot. I think I'd put LA Crew for some reason. Yeah, so LA Crew. And then we're just gonna go back to that path selector, and then we're gonna go to center until we see those arrows appear again, and we're gonna drag down. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna bring it to the bottom here. You kind of have to play with it to get it to do that. It's okay though, just be patient, you'll get it. And then we're gonna change the line height again. And then we can also go ahead and change the letter spacing, because it's gonna act different at the bottom. And that's actually looking really good. Surprisingly, that actually turned out really good, really fast. And that's all I did to recreate this design. And as you guys can see, I'm using everything that Photoshop comes with, minus the font. The font's called A Love for Thunder, and you can find that free online. Really, really awesome letterpress type font. Mind blown, right? That was so cool. Really easy to design, but effective. And we use stuff that Photoshop already comes with, minus a free font that I found online. But it's that simple, guys. I mean, we just did like a 3-color design in a matter of 15 minutes, if that. So anyway, I hope you guys can see by now that I'm just trying to make designs that are super easy but effective and cool looking without having to go buy graphics online or something like that. So if you guys are enjoying these tutorials, let me know in the comment section below. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. You're amazing. I love you guys. What can I say? I will see you in the next one. Bye.